And of course, we have to mention that Martinez now has 10 goals in the WSL already, which is just a madness. It's a madness. I'm sorry. In the unlikely scenario that Russo remains goalless and Martinez remarkably scores a hat trick in the final game against Leicester, she can actually pip Russo to the to the golden boot. That's like making me so like in my head canon, it's totally possible. Hello, all you wonderful people out there. Welcome back to another episode of All About the W. We are here to review game week 21, and it was an exciting game week simply because Kai and I got it so very wrong. Nobody expected, I think, Arsenal to lose as badly as they did. I mean, nobody who didn't see the Villa game. Everton also managed to beat Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. There was a draw between Leicester and Palace that nobody expected. There were a lot of like small upsets. I don't think anyone predicted a draw in the Manchester derby either. Everyone thought there'd be a clear result. So fun games all around. Great weekend of football, would you say, Kai?
Yeah, I mean, lots of goals, right? Lots of goals everywhere, which is always fun. And yeah, I mean, the Spurs versus Chelsea game was easily the most boring game of the weekend. And honestly, I mean, considering the fact that Chelsea managed to get the win, I'm just like, fine, it's okay. I'll take a boring game. It's fine. I'll take a 1-0.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think either have anything to play for really, so it's
Hmm.
fine. I mean,
True.
I could not get either.
Yeah.
Um, I think let's just begin with the biggest game that there was in the weekend. Manchester United versus Manchester City, which ended 2 all in a draw. Alexandri scored in the 38th minute. Knack scored from a corner in the 42nd minute. Clinton scored in the 45th minute. Mallard scored in the 68th minute. There was a red card for Magnon in the 70th minute. Um, Obviously, Manchester United drawing this was a big boost for them because it meant that City are not in contention to play in the Champions League next season. City missing out on the Champions League, which I think deservedly so because of the way they've played this season and the manager problems they've had and all of the difficulties with injuries, etc. Anyway, what did you think of the game per se, Kai? Putting all of that aside.
Um. Honestly, I felt a bit. I I actually felt very annoyed with Manchester City, to be honest. Like, I agree with you in that when you look at the big picture, United have been like the more consistent side, etc. But at the same time, City have had injuries, which is no excuse. And I feel like, one can be critical of their larger squad development, etc. And the injuries having such a massive impact because of that. But at the same time, I I was hoping, it would be interesting if actually Manchester City managed to win this game, and they really put themselves in a good position to do that. So, this is the part about Manchester City's mentality that annoys me to no end because they were 2 goals up at like 44 minutes. Clinton scores in the 45th minute, and and honestly, I think till Knack scored that goal, I did feel like, yes, United had a couple of chances, but I did feel like City were largely on top. And Lauren Hemp looks like she never left. Honestly, her quality on the ball, the runs that she makes, and the fact that she just never stops running, a really, really good performance from her. And I personally love Lauren Hemp. I love the way she plays. She's such an exciting and a direct player, and like technically just brilliant. Um, in terms of other players, I felt like Alexandria also had a decent game in the midfield. Again, rumors that she is going to sign for Barca next season, so we'll have to wait. And honestly, would you blame her? Because that is where she trained as a, that's a childhood club. And she's been around for like 5 6 years now, with City. And I've forgotten where she came from though. But yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for her to go back to Barcelona, um, and also play in the Champions League now that uh, City don't have Champions League. So yeah, I thought Alexandri looked good. There were a few long balls from Keating to Carolyn, which kind of worked out because Carolyn did manage to spin Turner a few times, and the first goal kind of comes from that. And lovely, lovely skill from Alexandri to get that goal. But yeah, I mean, what did you make of United? Like, there were a lot of ins and outs that were happening. Rivia had to go off. Gabby George had to go off. Wahabi had to go off. Like, basically, fullbacks just like dropping like flies through the game. What did you think about United's performance, Ash?
I thought that, sorry, before I come to United, I have to say this about City. You're really right about them, like there's a softness to that spine, because when they have no pressure, when they're playing Barcelona and nobody expects them to win, then they're just like, we are the ultimate footballers, total football. We will come out and we will, play Barcelona ball for ball and we will win the game. But
Yeah,
when there's pressure and on the last day of the season and something is on the line, or when there's a derby game and Champions League spot is on the line, and there's something, it means something, or even the League Cup or whatever it is. So many times in this season, like from the end, like from the last day of last season or whatever, so many times we have seen that they have this soft underbelly, and at some point it's just starting to like get annoy me a little bit, because you look at that team, you look at players like Lauren Hemp, like Alexandri, and you think what a waste. Almost it just feels wasteful that
yeah,
you have all of these amazing players and you can't even qualify for the Champions League. I mean, granted that they've had their injury problems and all of the other things, but so have other teams. It's not like Chelsea's had no injury problems. Sam Kerr has been out for the entire, like, I don't know, gazillion years now. I can't even remember how long Sam
yeah.
Kerr has
I
been
can't
out.
remember Sam Kerr even kicking the ball. Like, I feel like it's so far back in my memory, I can't like pull
Yeah,
it back.
like can't be like, oh, Bunny Shaw is injured, so we don't score anymore or whatever. When you like Chelsea also didn't have Sam Kerr. Chelsea still won the title. Now, how you feel about how Chelsea won it is another story altogether. But that's the team you want to compete with, right? Like that's the place you want to be. So then build your squad. Like nobody, you've had all the opportunity to do that. So it just annoys me.
Yeah.
Coming to United, I
Like,
actually,
like the
yeah.
bigger issue for me is the fact that they were 2-0 up. You were 2-0 up. Like, you just gotta be able to defend a two-goal advantage. That's just
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and this is this, like we have seen this time and time again with City. It's just their defense is so leaky. Like it doesn't matter how good Lauren Hemp is. It doesn't matter how good Bunny Shaw is when she comes back. If you're just going to be leaking goals, then you're never like good defenses win leagues. It's as simple as that. Look at Manchester United. No matter how you feel about Manchester United's midfield, whether you think Ella Toone and Clinton can play together, whether you like Mark Skinner or not, nobody can argue with the fact that Manchester United have a good goalkeeper and a good defense. Both
yeah.
of those things I can't say about City. You know,
Mhm.
and that just it's a remarkable difference. Like I genuinely believe Fallon Torres Joyce is the best player that the Manchester United squad has,
Yeah.
because like she has kept them in games throughout the season. She has kept them even in this game. She was great. She's been great throughout. In general, she's been great. I did think that, I mean, the Riviere loss was terrible. I think it was terrible more for the upcoming FA Cup final than it was for this game. I did think Mannion was good when she came on as well. I mean, all the fullbacks from both teams were good. Like I think, um, I did really like. I will say I really like Hinata in that defensive role. We've been singing her praises for like 2 or 3 games now. I think she has just like a really good reading of the game. There isn't much to say about United. Clinton had a few shots from distance. She looked all right when she was going forward, and she has that physicality that helps with defense as well. So, like you were saying in the previous episode, I do think that she can play that eight, which leaves me to question why Toon can't play that 10. Um, and if it's just Ella Toon. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't like a amazing performance from United, but I think what they did really well was break up play in the midfield. Like they
Yeah.
used their physicality against City, and I think it really worked. Uh, like that's what gets them through, right? They're always really good defensively. They have good reading of the game. They have uh people who make win those second balls, break up the play, all of the they do all the hard work off the ball. That's really like underrated, and that's what sort of gets them through in most games.
Yeah. Like the other thing, like obviously, like you said, United just got it over the line, and that's all they needed was a draw, and they go a player down as well at like 70 minutes, and then like if you look at the stats, City basically had 6 shots in the second half, um, and like in that second half for 20 minutes they played uh, a player up basically, and they still did not shoot enough. That was my biggest problem. Like you need to win, you just have to go for it, just like take shots from the distance, like at least
Yeah.
like test the goalkeeper. Didn't see any of that. That was also very disappointing. I feel like the moment um Mallard got that second goal, like heads just dropped, and yeah, and the second goal also comes from like a mistake. Anyway,
Did you
just
have
very,
any
very.
thoughts on the red? Did you think that it was because we were talking about Emily Heaslip at the starting of the game, and
Yeah.
we were predicting who would get the red.
Mm.
Did you like? I I thought it was definitely a yellow, but I thought it was a little harsh to give the second yellow considering it was going to be a red.
Yeah, I was just looking at the stats, and Mannion basically had only 3 fouls. It's not like she was consistently fouling, but also like the nature of the fouls also matter, and obviously like she's going up against Lauren Hemp, which is not the easiest thing to do. I felt like we were in the 70th minute, right? I feel like the game would have been exciting if she had stayed on. If it was 11v11, it's always more fun. Um, but I wouldn't fault the ref too much for giving that second yellow. Honestly, I've seen Emily Heaslip do like way worse. So, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like we did talk about the game a lot in the watch along as well. So if anyone wants to know our thoughts, you can catch them there as well. Brighton versus Arsenal, which ended 4-2. Kirby scored in the 16th minute, Ford in the 29th, Kankovic in the 43rd and 52nd, Seke in the 54th minute, and Mariona scored an extra time in the 90 plus third minute. Nobody expected this guy. I This game was a joy to watch. It is always a joy to watch 4 goals being scored against Arsenal, and Villa have done it now and Brighton are doing it, and it's just so much fun. I hope Barcelona beats them 8-0. How did you feel about this game?
Listen, conceding 8 goals against Barcelona is reserved for us. You find a
Yeah.
different scoreline. Find your own scoreline. No, but yeah, it was a really exciting game of football. Did not expect it. I mean, Arsenal have now conceded 9 goals in 2 matches. I think the asterisk there is that uh, Zinsberger has been in goal for both the games. And I feel like, obviously, I feel like she could have done better for a couple of the goals that, like, but ultimately, I think it's just the kind of complete lack of confidence that it kind of sends through the entire team when she's in goal. I think that's what it is, because Yeah, I think that they just look a different team with Van Domselaar in goal. But yeah, I mean, exciting game. Loved how front-footed Brighton were. I feel like from the beginning of the season we've loved watching Brighton play, and there was obviously a drop off, say towards December, and then until maybe a couple of weeks ago, I thought they looked pretty good against Man City as well. But yeah, I mean, I felt like they were back to their best in terms of their pressing. They just did not stop running, especially Seke, Jankovic, and Paris. It was causing Arsenal all sorts of problems. The first goal, sort of comes from Brighton's press, and Hayes winning the ball off of Mead. And Caitlin Hayes, I thought looked really good. I felt like, I was looking at some of the stats, and it didn't look as good, but eye test wise, she was just like winning. Like, I felt like she put in some really crucial interceptions and tackles. I thought she was really brave in the box. She had some sliding tackles in the box where she won the ball, which could have obviously gone terribly wrong for them. But like proper like cleanup job. She was calm on the ball when she was being pressed, and I thought she pressed Beth Mead really well as well. Won the ball off of her a couple of times, and but yeah, I think the interesting thing was like how little Brighton played out from the back, because like they went long a lot more than they normally do. So basically, I was looking at some of the figures because obviously Sophie Bagley had to come back in goal. So Loic was initially named in the starting 11, and I think she might have picked up an injury during the warm up. So Bagley had to start, and what a game she had, man. But she basically had 27 long balls to compare. Loic had 15 against City and 10 against Chelsea. Apart from that, her long ball numbers are usually hover between like 3 and 6 per game. So clearly they didn't feel as confident playing out from the back with Bagley in goal. And Bagley, the last game she played, I believe, was against Manchester United, where she had 21 long balls. So we see why Loic is preferred over Bagley in this system, because Vidasic obviously wants somebody who's good with the ball at their feet. Um, but yeah, I
I
mean, yeah, go on.
I also think that not playing out from the back is a response to how good Arsenal are at pressing. I think it was like Arsenal also like forced them to like have that long ball, because there was this at one point in the game where Arsenal were all over them, and like the fact that Arsenal could not score is ridiculous because they really should have. And I think like that is also a failing. Like whatever you say about defense and all and Zinsberger and stuff,
Yeah,
it's true. The Arsenal forwards just couldn't score against Brighton, and Brighton is not known for their like spectacular defending.
yeah.
So it kind of felt like the Idewal thing where they were putting the ball into good areas and hoping someone would be there, and nobody was there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously Arsenal should have finished a lot of their chances. I mean, I'm sure their XG was pretty high. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers, and Arsenal like created 7 big chances and missed 6 of those. So that
Hmm.
pretty much sums up what happened. But yeah, I think from like an Arsenal standpoint, like Brighton, like again, the press was great. The box defending was also really good. I felt, you know, both the goals kind of like it doesn't come necessarily from like defensive errors.
Yeah.
Bagley sort of parries the ball into Ford's path, and she just like takes the shot, and Caldente obviously it's just like a wonder strike, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, even Brighton's goals were all very well created. They either came from the press, or it like that brilliant pass from Oli Slagers to Kiko Seke to finish
Oh.
the chance. But yeah, Frank Kirby, love Frank Kirby. Loves a goal against Arsenal, as the commentator said, and that was a brilliant, brilliant finish from her. But yeah, I think from an Arsenal standpoint, like defending transitions has been a big problem for them, because they have such a high line, and they just leave so many gaps. Like playing a through ball is just so easy, given the positioning of the midfielders and the defenders. And I do think, we saw that in that game against Lyon. We saw that against Aston Villa as well. So it's probably something. I mean, obviously, I don't think they'll have to worry about that. Maybe not against Barcelona, but it's definitely something they probably need to sort of think about. And I personally feel like, maybe Arsenal are just like saving up all the goals for the Champions League finals. Who knows? Luck needs
Yeah.
to go their way at some point, and maybe it'll be in Lisbon.
But like to be fair, Brighton are just a poor person's Barcelona, no, in a sense. Like, I don't, so they're more direct than Barcelona for sure.
Yeah,
But in terms of ball playing and possession and triangles and like
yeah,
just progressing the ball, a lot of their like a lot of what Vidishik is trying to do is very similar to what Barcelona already does.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
if you can't do it against Brighton, you definitely can't do it against Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean it's a Champions League final. Maybe they'll turn up. Who knows? I'm not too concerned. Like do whatever you want. But yeah, I mean other news from Brighton. Just quickly, Ash. Five players Brighton announced are leaving. So Poppy Pattinson, Guro Bergsvan, Thoris Dottir, Stefanovic, and Paulina Bremer are the players who are leaving. So yeah, I think some of these exits make sense to me, especially Thoris Dottir and Bergsvan. I feel like maybe we'll see Brighton go in for more ball playing defenders in the summer, which is really cool because honestly, Brighton had a massive turnover in their squad last summer. They brought in 10 players. So the fact that they're probably hopefully gonna invest again this summer is a very, very good sign, and faith in Vidicic probably. Yeah, all right. So that's um, Brighton versus Arsenal. Also, Brighton's first win ever in the WSL against Arsenal. That goal that
Yay!
Fran Kirby scored was Brighton's first ever home goal against Arsenal. Wow, what a time to
Yeah.
be alive.
Also,
All right.
but Brighton is like I think teams are scared of going to Brighton now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they have had like really good home performances this season. Ash, but let's move on to another very very exciting fixture that happened between West Ham and Aston Villa, which finished 3-2 to Villa. Goals from Ebony Salmon in the 5th minute, Rachel Daly in the 38th minute, Chastity Grant in the 54th minute. Shakira Martinez did equalize in the 90th minute, and Rico Yueki put West Ham briefly ahead in the 34th minute. Ash, again, a goal fest. And also, Shakira Martinez is kind of in the golden boot race, isn't she? What a fun player. Tell me all about this game.
Y- Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we can definitely talk about Shakira Martinez. I'm going to bring her up later anyway. But like, before like we talk about anything else, we have to talk about the tactical battle that this game was. It was like the most exciting, closest fought battle in the weekend for me, at least. Like, just end to absolutely fantastic end to end stuff. Like, for the neutral, it was the best game, hands down. And I'm including the fact that Arsenal Brighton was exciting for other reasons. Uh, the reason it was so like here are these two managers, right? Rian Skinner, who's just like deservedly signed a contract extension for West Ham, and Natalia Arroyo, who's just like recently arrived to the WSL. And it was just so nice to see these two different philosophies of football sort of going at it. Villa were, like I mentioned in my previous video, they were playing with a side to side overload with the wing backs slotting slightly into midfield, like inverting a little bit into midfield. And West Ham's plan was to like win the ball off of Villa in the midfield, followed by a long diagonal pass towards the gaps in the flanks, created by this one sided overload that Villa were doing to free their quick forwards like in Martinez and Asai, right? So both teams were pressing really well. And the first half was super intense. It was like the press from both teams was just forcing errors left and right, like either from passing out from the back for Villa or mistimed back passes towards the goalkeeper Shemik for West Ham. It was just absolutely fantastic to watch these two managers like pit their brains against each other. Like I was just like, this field is just brains, you know. It was just
Yeah.
amazing, so much fun.
That's so nice. I mean, I'm really glad we're getting to see more of Arroyo's style of play, and I also feel like we've not given, maybe we've not given Rian Skinner her due. West Ham have had a really good second half of the season, so maybe we will do an episode later on once the season is done, looking at these two managers and their tactics. But Ash, any special mentions for this game in terms of players?
Yeah, so for Villa, obviously, like the Salmon Grant combination on the right is like absolutely stupendous. I am loving it for the past 2 or 3 games now. I think if Villa improve their passing out from the backs next season, they're in for a fabulous season if they can keep these players fit. For West Ham, special mention goes out to Henshaw for an absolutely fabulous cross in for the Martinez goal. And of course, we have to mention that Martinez now has 10 goals in the WSL already, which is just a madness. It's a madness. I'm sorry. In the unlikely scenario that Russo remains goalless and Martinez remarkably scores a hat trick in the final game against Leicester, she can actually pip Russo to the like to the golden boot. That's like making me so like in my head canon, it's totally possible. I like really
Yeah,
hope it happens. Even if she scores
yeah.
a brace, she can share the boot. But I don't want her to share the boot. I want her to win it outright. Hat trick scenes, Arsenal lose against United, and like that's all she wrote.
Yeah, West Ham's last game is against Leicester,
Leicester.
who they're
It's
defensively
possible.
very good. But
It
who
is possible.
knows?
Come on. In my head canon, it's happened.
Yeah, you know what? Like that would be so much fun though. Like half a season and she wins. Oh man, that would be such incredible narrative. And there will be like big clubs around West Ham, like vultures, who like take her from them. But tell me, like, why do you think West Ham lost though? Like you told me, it was like a very interesting tactical matchup. But what went wrong for West Ham?
I think my one criticism of Rian Skinner is substitutions. Like, she should have done her substitutions earlier. The game, in the first half, the game was happening at such a frantic pace. And West Ham, by the second half, is starting to look a little bit knackered. And at this point, Arroyo did the really smart thing of putting in a double substitution for Robinson and Byings in the second half for Nobbs and Taylor. So, Villa had fresh legs and like some added speed and physicality. And West Ham just looked tired in comparison. And in the second half, kind of devolved into a midfield scrap with like some added edge through some challenges and cards. Like Gori got a card, Zadorsky got a card. Um, West Ham still had some decent chances in the second half, but I thought Villa did enough to keep them out after their early goal. Like, I think I like, despite the several opportunities and like a few free kicks, etc. I thought that after that goal that Villa scored, I didn't think anyone was going to score because West Ham looked so tired, despite like really battling it out. They tried their best. I think till the 70th minute or something until they got their subs. They really, really tried.
Yeah,
So I think it was a really equal contest. I think if they like who would say Villa is an old team? Apparently, Villa is like the oldest team in the WSL. It did not look like it, yes, like on Sunday, because it
yeah,
was just like they were running like par for par with everything West Ham were doing. It was really nice. It was a good game.
yeah. Yeah, I think I'll catch up on this game during this week because you are really selling it to me now.
Okay, next game. I did not catch
Ah,
this. I saw the highlights. Palace versus Leicester, which ended with a 2-2 draw. Kane scored in the extra time in the first half in the 45 plus 2 minutes. Blanchard scored in the 70th minute. O'Brien scored in the extra time. in the second half in the 94th minute, and then Larkin scored in the 98th minute. What did you make of this game from the now relegated Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I honestly like it was nice to see Palace play with like a lot of heart. I feel like uh, this was the last home game that they had, and the vibes were good. Like it sounded like the crowd had turned up and it was loud out there. And if you're a relegated team and it's your last home game of the season, you probably want to play a team that's placed 11th in Leicester.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I thought it looked good, and Palace I felt. I mean, I really felt like they were the dominant side, like in terms of possession, they started really well. They had a really fast start, but they just couldn't convert their chances, man. There were like a couple of chances that they absolutely should have put away. Um, and again, I feel like it's been a bit of a theme this season. Palace conceding goals in like stoppage time. Like the first one comes in the added time of the first half, and the second goal comes in like the 94th minute. And of course, they end up equalizing pretty late in the game through Larkin. But yeah, I mean, in terms of players, I felt um, like Weirden, Weirden, when I first saw her, I was kind of excited to see her in the WSL. Um, and I felt like the first half of the season she just could not. Um, we didn't see enough of her, I felt, and I feel like now she's really come into her own. In the last few games, I feel like she's been a fairly standout player for Palace. Molly Sharp also looked pretty good. Blanchard, I feel like a big issue for Palace this season was that Annabelle Blanchard, who started the season really well, went off injured, and they did have a handful of injuries, like Katie Stengel getting injured and Blanchard going in and out of with injury, Lexi Potter as well being injured for a bit. So I felt like these players had a pretty good game, and it's going to be interesting to see how many of these players they actually manage to retain in the summer. I don't feel too hopeful. Like I'm sure players like Katie Stengel will have like a relegation clause. So it'll be interesting to see how Palace actually rebuild, because they did sack Kaminsky saying that they want to invest and they want to rebuild. So obviously, Leif's merit has not been able to keep them up. But let's see how they manage to rebuild. Yeah, but the other big news is obviously that London City Lionesses have been promoted to the WSL. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about how we feel about all of that in terms of the investment, etc., etc. But it was a really fun game. Did you manage to catch the highlights of the game, Ash? Of Birmingham
I
City?
did catch the highlights. I couldn't catch the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did catch the highlights. Also because like my foot mob kept going off, and I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, I know. I really thought Birmingham would make a comeback, but obviously, again, London City just needed a draw, and Birmingham needed that win. But you know what? Honestly, it is a real wake up call for some clubs, because
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that Michelle Kang is not going to let London City Lionesses get relegated. Like, I am
Yeah.
100% sure that they're going to stay in the
Just
WSL
like
next season.
the amount of power that she has in the women's game, she the draw in terms of players, and like even if you have the money, right? Like sometimes you can have the money and still not be able to draw big players simply because
Yeah,
it doesn't look like you have the pedigree. Um, and like sometimes teams like Spurs or Brighton suffer from that. Uh,
yeah,
where Spurs has money, it's not like Spurs doesn't have money, but it doesn't mean anything to a player. Like we can't always draw like a big player. I don't think London City Lionesses will suffer from that because
yeah,
there's like Kang such a big name in women's football,
yeah,
and yeah, like I was kind of rooting for Birmingham as like the underdog, but and
yeah.
I was I forget what game was happening. I was watching some other game while this was happening, um, in the WSL, And like
Uh,
the commentator also kept like being like, okay, now it's like giving the score, and I was just like, come on, Birmingham, and it didn't work
yeah.
out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, like teams like Leicester, I mean, the usual suspects, I feel Leicester, West Ham, I feel are like Everton have shown that they will invest. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Um, but yeah, Ash, let's move on to Liverpool versus Everton, which finished 2-0 to Everton. Liverpool can't seem to win a Merseyside derby. Curtis Noyes scoring the 7th minute and Karen Holmgard scoring again in the 69th minute. I think that's 2 goals in 2 games for her, right? Um, what did you make of this game, Ash?
I wish someone had reminded me earlier that the last time Liverpool beat Everton in a Merseyside derby was 2019. Because when I was making my predictions, I did not remember at all. I remembered that like Everton had won the reverse fixture, but I couldn't remember beyond that. I have no clue how Liverpool didn't score in this game. I really don't. Like it's some bad juju. It was like from Liverpool's side, it was like really poor defending to not anticipate that cutback from Gago to Snoes after. So basically, Snoes intercepted the ball, passed it to Gago, and then Gago cut back and passed it back to Snoes. And like they had all the space and time in the world, and I'm wondering what the Liverpool defense was doing. But anyway, after conceding the goal, Liverpool were constantly like just playing catch up the whole game. There was only one explanation that I can think of for Liverpool not scoring, and that is the magnificence of Courtney Brosnan. I really genuinely feel like Everton would not be 2 points off Liverpool with a chance to eclipse them on the final day without Brosnan. Like, she's just insane. Like, she blocked a barrage of shots from what felt like the entire Liverpool forward line. Like, there was a shot from Smith, and then one from Roman Hag, then one from Hovinger. I think Holland also had a shot. I can't even remember now. I'm probably forgetting some players. Like Liverpool had 27 shots to Everton 6. And at this point, someone has to wrap Olivia Smith in like saran wrap, or like find a way to Teflon coat her, because it's almost a requirement now in every Liverpool game I watch for someone to crash into her or foul her or both. And it's not even like she hams it up and like does dark arts. It's like literally someone is like running into
Yeah,
her. You
Sarah
know,
Holmgard got sent off, right?
yeah, but that happened like after the two goals were scored, so it wasn't
Right.
really like a game-changing affair.
Was it
Uh,
like a foul on Smith because she does play left back for
Now I
uh
can't remember.
okay, anyway, that's
I watched this
fine.
game like, yeah, I can barely remember the goals. Okay.
Yes.
Like Liverpool really needs to up their game, because if Olivia Smith is your main outlet, she's always just going to get clobbered. Because so if she's going to drag defenders away, at least everyone else should like match her run and make something of the sacrifice. For God's sake, like, do something with that. Like at least use it if your player is getting injured all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, you said that about our prediction, and I, like the massive fool that I am. I know, like I knew that Liverpool hadn't beaten Everton since ever since they came back into the WSL after getting relegated in
Yeah.
a Merseyside derby, like in the WSL. And my logic for predicting a Liverpool win was that, hey, Liverpool hadn't won at Anfield ever, and they just beat Man United at Anfield. So maybe they'll turn this around as well. I wish I hadn't thought so much about it.
I mean, like honestly, by the second half, like I will say, Liverpool became better the second half. The first half they were just not good. Second half, like they were decent, and I thought they had a bunch of like really really close chances in the second half. But I kind of lost interest. Like I think maybe it was because Karen Homeguard scored the second goal, but like after that, it just never felt like they were going to get the ball in the back of the net. And
Yeah.
and like I sometimes feel the same way about Liverpool as I do about City, which is like it feels a little bit wasted. Uh,
Hmm.
like qualitatively in every department, they were better than Everton, but that scoreline doesn't reflect that whatsoever. And
Yeah.
that just means you're not better than Everton. Um, you know,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Like I said earlier, the probably the least interesting game of the weekend was Spurs Chelsea.
yeah,
Uh,
it ended like 0-1 and on a penalty from Macario in the 35th minute. Uh, oh, I forgot to say, I also thought Everton deserved a penalty in the first half
oh,
for a
okay.
Kelly Garbo foul. Anyway, a foul on Kelly Garbo in
Yeah.
the box. Um, uh, I don't care about this game. If you want to talk about it, you can. But there is really nothing to say. I thought both teams were crap.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought there was this one opportunity Grant had. It was criminal. She didn't score it.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll say the same thing I say every time. Ella Morris was decent. I have nothing else to add. You can go if you want to.
Yeah, nothing much to say. I mean, it was a wild team from Bompasser, like Brighton at left back, Nuskin at centre back, like a centre back pair, starting centre back pairing of Empome and Nuskin is just, it blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, nothing much to say. It is what it is. Got a nice little guard of honor, whatever. That's it. Anyway, there it
That
did
guard
seem
of
like there was
honor,
a good, huh?
that guard of honor at Spurs pisses me off more than anything else. Like just play with them, I could not care less. We didn't have anything to
Yeah,
lose.
it was
But
at your big stadium as well, right? Fun.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Time for our coveted fan pundit corner. So after match day 20, Kai was at 34 points and I was at 20 points. After tallying the results of match day 21, it was proven that we both don't know what the hell we're talking about. Kai got the outcome right for Spurs versus Chelsea, very obviously. Technically, so did I. I just didn't predict it. Um, so Kai gets 1 point for that and is at 35. And I got the outcome right for the Villa versus West Ham game. So now I'm at 21. Let's go through the next few fixtures, Kai. Arsenal versus United.
Hmm. 2-2. It's
2
a draw.
2. You know what? I'm going to go for a United victory.
Yeah.
The way Arsenal are playing, why not? Okay, I was also supposed to write that good on the transition.
Yeah.
Villa versus Brighton.
Oof, this is a tough one, isn't it? Villa at home. I reckon Villa will get a win. Hmm. No, wait. Yeah, I think Villa will get a win. I'm gonna say 3-2 Villa. No, 3-2 Villa. Yes.
3-2 Villa. Okay, I'm actually gonna go Brighton. I know they're terrible traveling, but I'm gonna go 2-1 Brighton just to make it interesting. Also because I think Villa do have like some like Brighton press really well, and Villa do have gaps in their back line.
Yeah.
Chelsea versus Liverpool.
Oof. You know what? If Hannah Hampton keeps a clean sheet in this game, and if Fallon Tunless Joyce concedes, they'll both be tied with like number of clean sheets. That's the biggest scam of the season. Hannah Hampton has a potential, like she could potentially pull off the biggest scam of the season. I'm gonna go 2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0 Chelsea. I don't think Liverpool are going on yet to this week's performance. I don't see Liverpool winning this.
Yeah.
Uh, Everton versus Spurs. Obviously, Kai, there's only one winner in this.
Everton versus Spurs. I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, Everton at home. They're definitely winning, I feel. I'm gonna go 3-1 Everton. Beth England gets a goal. Because who
Everton.
else?
Yes, of course. Screw you, Kai. I'm going towards Spurs.
Beth England
Okay.
gets a brace.
When it's a brace, but who else scores? Not Charlie Grant. Anyway, Leicester versus West Ham.
Um, fun. I'm gonna go West Ham. No, actually, I really want Shakira Martinez to win that golden boot.
Yeah, same.
4-1 West Ham.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. From Shakira Martinez.
Yeah.
I will go 3-2 West Ham. Had it from Shakira Martinez.
Yes, let's
Um,
go.
City versus Palace.
Oh, this is gonna be the worst game of the weekend. I promise you. It's absolutely going to be the worst game of the weekend.
I
I
wouldn't
feel like City
count.
will score. Huh?
I wouldn't count Spurs out from being the most terrible.
Yeah, I feel like City will like smash like 5 goals in because this game means absolutely nothing.
So final
Final
5-1,
City, yeah. Actually, no, 5-2. Let's make it a goal fest.
5-2 City. I'm gonna go 3-1 City. I think they'll concede at least one. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the end of Fan Pundit Corner. Hopefully I managed to get a few points out of this. Come on, Brighton. Um, anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. We will see you next week with our
WSL
preview.
reviews.
Yeah. At the next
WSL.
WSL. Yeah, the final week of the WSL. Excited for it. Make sure you remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of those wonderful things. And we will see you next week. Bye bye.